If you could bring back any cancelled show for a 90-minute TV movie to wrap things up, which show would you choose? Altered Carbon, second season was uneven. I don't blame Anthony Mackie. The show just went too far into the backstory rather than explore the super interesting world they created, a movie where they bring Takeshi back one more time to solve another murder and then have him get the closure he needs as well. He can then have Poe corrupt his disc so he can't be spun up anymore. Space Cases. Granted, it would be difficult to wrap things up considering it's been more than 20 years and the cast has all aged significantly, but I just really want to see that show get the end it deserved. Also want to see my first actor crush in something again because it's been forever. I want them to redo Serenity, except Wash doesn't die. That's literally it. It's a lame answer because technically my show already got their movie, and a lot of other shows didn't get their movie. I get that, but I stand by it. I fucking love Firefly way too much to give any other answer. Edit, if I can't have Firefly, for whatever reason, then my answer is Altered Carbon. Supernatural. I'm sorry, but I invested 15 fucking years of my life into this show. If the pilot hadn't have happened, Dean would have died prematurely young and Sam would have lived a life without hunting, and 15 fucking years later the final ep dropped, and Dean died prematurely and Sam lived the rest of his life without hunting. I want a fucking do-over. I want an actual decent ending. I want better than we got. I have watched a lot of OK shows that get cancelled and probably very few people remember them. The 100 Lives of Blackjack Savage was alright. Do-Over was a pretty good show. Tiny Toons, a movie would be great. Gargoyles, this would be fantastic. Actually any of the short-lived Disney cartoons, Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, all would be great. Mighty Max, I really liked the show. It was the same time frame as Captain Planet and Carmen Sandiego cartoons. Also good. Adventures of Briscoe County, Jr., a western with Bruce Campbell. So good. I watched a lot of TV as a kid. Threshold only had one season. Back in 2005, had Peter Dinklage before he was Game of Thrones famous, was like X-Files with hints of XCOM in it. They gave it some closure in the last episode, but it never got to reach its potential. I've got two. Selfie and Reboot. Selfie had a rough pilot, but it was so good by the 13th episode. And then it was cancelled mid-season. John Cho and Karen Gillan were amazing in it. Reboot was the first completely CGI cartoon. Its season 4 ended on a cliffhanger in 2001. The franchise was resurrected by Netflix recently, but as a Power Rangers-esque show that had very little to do with the original series. 20 years later, and I'd still like to see an ending, but that'll never happen. Utopia, the UK one, not that shitty US remake, literally one of the best shows ever made, and it ended on a cliffhanger before being cancelled. A movie would be great, but I feel there was so much potential that there could have been at least a season or two more. It's an old series that to my knowledge never got finished but was a great concept. Nowhere Man, to wrap things up differently from the emergency ending, grim. Not that it was so bad, but I wanted to see more. Channel 4's Utopia. I'm still really upset at the sudden cancellation of that show. Although Channel 4 has a habit of doing this, not only does it lose content for itself and cause unemployment for all the people that work on their shows, but it disregards its audiences as well. Someone needs to have a work with the network, yet Hollyoaks is 20+ years old. Misfits, show about a group of Espo teenagers who suddenly got superpowers off a storm, but they don't become superheroes, they just get in wacky situations. Klaus from Umbrella Academy and Ramsey Bolton from Got Isn't It. First 3 seasons were so good. Best character left start of S3 and by S4 everyone else was gone and were replaced with two-dimensional characters who just weren't enjoyable, plus they don't use their powers. If they made a movie that brings the old characters back and have their characters reach their final story arcs, that would make my year. Labrats and are best friends whenever. Both are obscure Disney sitcoms, but I love both in a non-conditional way. If you never seen Labrats or Best Friends Whenever, and if you have Disney Plus, watch it please. Or if you still have cable, then on Disney XD every Monday they show reruns of Labrats season 1 or 2. Lie to me, fucking writers strike. I mean, I agree with action and right to strike. Union rep, but damn it, I love that show. I need closure. Well, I thought that's what they were going to do with Friends back when everyone from the show was teasing something big. I have not bothered to watch the Friends The Reunion thing yet, but the fact that they didn't do one last scripted thing is only slightly, incredibly disappointing. So, the show literally ended with like 3 characters that may be dead, loads of other cliffhangers that will never be answered. BTW, check out a show called Soap. It's a spoof of soap operas and is wonderfully funny and entertaining. Grimm, it was an absolutely amazing twist on modern Brothers Grimm stories. E.G., 3 Little Piggies, Little Red Riding Hood, Billy Goat's Gruff etc., and the original, more gory and violent, version of the stories. It was Emmy 15+, and it was cancelled to make more room on TV for Married at First Sight. I believe that you can still find it on Netflix, if they haven't taken another great flick off of it. Reba, liked, didn't love the show, but did all the couples stay together? Not on topic, but worth a shout out to the worst ending of my fave show, 2.5 Men, with Charlie. I understand he was fired, but Jesus Christ, his hookup with Rose was the worst plot line ever. Community, of course, we still need that movie. Also, reading through these comments makes me so sad as all the losses we've suffered, and for what? So that we can have a season 29 of Grey's Anatomy, another spin-off, and infinity episodes of The Bachelor? Flash forward, I think I was the only person who saw it, which is why they cancelled it. It was about a moment in time when everyone, except a few, on Earth blacked out momentarily. They took it through the investigation with crazy twists and OMG moments to a cliffhanger finale only to cancel it after season 1. Sigh. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It technically had an ending, but it could have easily been concluded in a much happier way if it had time. Or The Society, nothing was explained. Why were they there? Why could the dog be in both universes? Scorpion, while the show itself wasn't super high quality or anything, it was a nice fun to laugh at / guilty pleasure show to unwind with, and its cancellation left a big cliffhanger that I don't think anybody was happy with. Daredevil from Marvel, my favorite show I have ever watched, and although it ended nicely after season 3, I wished to see what else they would do with the characters or the aftermath of the season finale. Has all my favorite genres, thriller, action, drama, combined into a coherent and intriguing superhero show. Such a shame that despite the great reviews, Netflix had to cancel. Oof, there are so many, some that were already said and agree with. Community, the Santa Clarita died. I am not okay with this. Glow, The Last Man on Earth, shows that I didn't see mentioned. Girlfriend's Happy Endings Forever, the one with Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen, The Society Crashing, Luke Cage Utopia. Generator Rex, this show was setting up for a 4th season and I really liked the direction it was headed, but it got axed along with almost every other CN show back when it had a change in directors in like 2013. 90 minutes wouldn't do it justice, but it'd be a start. Slugterra and Transformer Rex. These shows got cancelled because they couldn't sell merchandise. Transformer Rex and Ben 10 were created side by side. Transformer Rex was a better show, but they couldn't make toys that would sell. Ben 10 on the other hand was selling heaps of toys, so studios stopped working on Transformer Rex and put all their effort into Ben 10. The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. It had one season on Netflix that ended on kind of cliffhanger in preparation for the next season, but development on season 2 had to be cancelled because of the pandemic. A 90-minute movie that acts as a sequel to the series and a prequel to the original film would be great. My Name is Earl. They released the ending over a podcast and we deserved to see this. Basically, Earl Jr. is the child of a rapper. Lil Wayne I think was quoted in the podcast. Somebody bumps into Earl because they have their own list, inspired by Earl, and Earl was on third party's list. Earl realizes how his behavior has changed and influenced others. He also realizes he will never be done and all he can do is continue trying to be a good person and rips up the list. I miss the show. The Office. Not because anything needs to be wrapped up but because I just miss the show and all the characters so damn much, and with Michael Scott playing a prominent role and not the weak cameo he did at Dwight and Angela's wedding. It'll be nice to see how all of them have grown and matured as people but are still mostly the same. Metalocalypse was my go-to answer but they're fixing that soon. My second answer would be the TV show Titus but they fixed that. I would say Samurai Jack but they fixed that, so the only ones I got so far are the Texamazan Incarnation and the Ash vs Evil Dead TV show and Invader Zim. Game of Thrones. I would make it so that all of the stories, character arcs meant absolutely nothing. I would also make the most important battle be really anticlimactic. Then I would shoehorn in one last rushed-out battle scene that at the same time tries to wrap up every character's story at once. It would be great. The Finder. The final episode they had was a season finale where they leave all the characters in really horrible positions and on a cliffhanger, and before the next season could start one of the main actors died and they decided to end the show out of respect. I get it and I respect that they don't want the show to go on without such a beloved actor or try to replace him, but I sometimes find myself worrying about the characters and feel bad about how messed up their lives ended up if that final episode was the end for them. Then I realized I have a problem letting things go. The Finder ended years ago and I still think about it every once in a while. Spoilers. The 100. The 100, though the final season was a complete disappointing disastrous mess. The show ends Clark, the main character, not being accepted into a heaven-like thing where a very advanced alien race figured out how to live for eternity. Everyone is reaped except her, where she is then sent back to destroyed Earth to live out the rest of her life alone. Eventually the remaining few main characters decided to decline to join the alien race and live for eternity, and instead join Clark, not letting her die alone. In this though they was not allowed to reproduce or anything like that. After they're dead, humanity basically is wiped from existence besides the light energy alien race, so it would be cool to see the process of them living out their lives together, knowing that they fought to save everyone else. Earth 2, obscure sci-fi show about colonists on a new Earth-like planet, ended on a damp cliffhanger after one season. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., goofy adventure comedy western starring a ruggedly charming Bruce Campbell, also has unexpected sci-fi elements. Spoilers ahead. I'd really like to see that show, but I think it was called, finally finished. As far as I know, it basically just got cut on a giant cliffhanger right after the main trio lost the ability to combine into the body, and since the Biocommodore robot guy got his circuit friend, effectively making him as good as dead, and resulting in them ending up running away trying to find some form of way to repair him so they can save the world or whatever. Survivor's Remorse is a show I really enjoyed watching recently until I got to the end and realized it was cancelled before it could finish. Mike O'Malley said the story was already taken care of, they just never got to do it, so people thought it was a terrible series final, and it in fact was because it was only intended to be a season final with cliffhangers and more story to be told. Freakazoid. I really want to know what they would do with the internet-powered superhero, especially since it was the 90s show that got the internet right. AKA it's dumb memes, not the savior of the human race. Would be interesting to see where they see the character now that the internet has evolved. Firefly. But it's too late for this, for what I want at least. We got the movie and I am fine with it, but I really would have loved to see Shepherd Books Past, have the rest of the crew have some cameos, but 90 minutes about Books Past with the Alliance is what I really wanted. Sadly Ron Glass passed in 2016 and it would not feel right without him. Hogan's Heroes. You would have it start with the Allies advancing through France, which seems ridiculously close to Stalag 13 for some reason. Hogan and his crew do the usual things. The Allies enter Germany, and the Germans start to panic. The Allies reach Stalag 13, and it is right at this moment that Colonel Klink, Sergeant Schultz, General Burkhalter etc. finally learn what Hogan and his crew were up to all this time, and the show ends with the Germans in solitary confinement, and Hogan and his crew walk out the gates whistling the Hogan's Heroes theme song. Firefly. They already had one, but I just wanna see the cast together again. Lar cries to Candleford. It kinda just strapped it up with everyone except the main character has a good conclusion, Gotham. They wrapped that shit up quicker than a badly wrapped Christmas present. What happens during Bruce's time training? How does Selina truly become Catwoman? Etc. Alcatraz. A very short-lived show from 2012-ish. I know it wasn't going to be a Sopranos or Breaking Bad or some darling of the drama world. It was popcorn TV, but I loved it and they were building a long-term story of sorts. It was cancelled way too soon after like half a season. I am not okay with this. The Netflix show. I got legitimately invested in the show for an entire month, only to find out they weren't going to do a second season. It was a really down-to-earth show and was very reminiscent of Carrion Away. I would love to see the cinematography and scene work they would have done, especially in a movie format. There was so much room for greatness and it was really all for naught. Oh yeah, but let's keep 13 Reasons Why, because that's such a better show. Preemptively, I want The Expanse to come back because the show is supposedly ending next season when there are still 4 more books worth of content. I'm almost positive they're either negotiating a renewal or movie deal though, because the show is openly beginning storylines that will need more than 1 season to finish. Motherfucking seaQuest won't happen because 2 of the lead actors are dead. As far as I'm concerned, seaQuest only had 1 season. Honestly, seaQuest would make for a great animated show. Oh, and a Pretender. I want to see Jared and Miss Parker destroy the center. Plus, we never got to know what her first name was. Married ... with children. Apparently Ed O'Neill had an ending written and asked Fox to give them a heads up about their cancellation so they could do that as the last episode. So of course Fox does the opposite and the entire cast and crew find out about their cancellation from the news. One of the shows that put Fox on the map. Northern Exposure. But really no one seemed to care. Lost. We truly need a different ending. Game of Thrones. Maybe some of the damage can be undone, and it's small again. Let John Chase and Grit Ghost or something like that. At least kill Bran. Metalocalypse. They had that special, Dead Star Requiem or something, but even that was a cliffhanger if I remember correctly. That was supposed to lead into a final season and then nothing. I mean, we still don't know exactly what the prophecy surrounding the clock is. We still don't know what Project Falconback is. And goddamn it, I want more pickles and Dr. Rock, so.